Hello Bloomington, I'm Mayor Tim Busse, and this is the Council Minute for the week of December 16th. It feels like a long while since I've been with you for a Council Minute, and it has been. My schedule and work responsibilities have been a mess over the past month or so, and I'm grateful that Councilmember Lohman stepped in and helped out. But now I'm hoping that I've worked out my scheduling issues, and I'm very happy to be back with you. On Monday night, the Council held the annual Truth in Taxation hearing, and ultimately, approved Bloomington's 2025 property tax levy and general fund budget for 2025. The Council approved a tax levy increase of 9.18% and a proposed budget that corresponds to the levy. That levy increase would translate into an actual increase in city property taxes of 6.85% for a median valued home and would equate to an annual increase of $97 or $1.87 per week. I said a couple of times during the hearing, I believe this budget reflects the values, priorities, and expectations of the residents of Bloomington. Like any budget discussion, the conversation was centered on revenues and expenditures. On the revenue side, the city continues to see increases in our collections from lodging and admissions taxes. In both cases, we're at or above 2019 levels, which tells me that our hospitality industry is back to pre-pandemic numbers, and that's good news. The city collects about $10 million each year from those two sources, so it's a significant source of revenue. On the flip side, we'll see a decrease again this year in revenues from permits. That's the result of fewer big construction projects underway in the city. From an expenditures perspective, once again this year, the two biggest expense drivers are closely related to city services that residents have come to expect from Bloomington. City governments are in the service industry. The city of Bloomington doesn't make widgets, but instead provides services like police and fire protection, snow plowing, park maintenance, water delivery, and many, many others. For decades, Bloomington residents have made it clear that high-quality city services are a priority, and I agree, that's how it should be. So the city pays a competitive wage to the outstanding employees who provide those high-quality services, and that costs money. About 75% of Bloomington's general fund budget goes to personnel costs. And you won't be surprised to hear that the public sector is a very tight job market right now. Competitive salaries and benefits are needed to attract and retain the great employees who provide the services you've come to expect. And on the topic of services we've all come to expect, Bloomington's investments in public safety are a major expense driver. For years, the council has heard that public safety is the top priority in this community. This budget, and frankly budgets for the past couple of years, reflect that. You all know that we have one of the best, if not the best, police departments in Minnesota. That requires investments in people, training, and equipment. You also know that we're building a long overdue fire department that's a combination of full-time and paid on-call firefighters. Even with federal grants to help defer those costs, a fire department is a significant investment. Of the proposed 9.18% levy increase, almost 65% would go toward police and fire. If you prefer raw dollar figures, the proposed increase in the property tax levy for 2025 is $7.4 million. More than $4.7 million would go to police and fire. On a larger scale, more than 82% of this budget will go toward the 5 areas that make up the nuts and bolts work of city government: police, fire, public works, park and recreation, and community development. That level of spending in these vital areas reflects the priorities, values, and the expectations of Bloomington residents. A number of residents spoke at our hearing on Monday night and brought forward legitimate questions and concerns about the cost of services and the rate of increase over the past few years. Thank you to each of them for participating. The council acknowledged their concerns and agreed that while the city is doing a good job gathering feedback and input regarding the budget and explaining the entire process, we need to have a more robust, community-wide conversation about what it means to design a budget that reflects the priorities, values, and expectations of Bloomington residents. So what do I mean by that? I think each of the dozen or so speakers that we heard from on Monday night brought up suggestions about where cuts could be made. One speaker said she didn't use city parks, so we shouldn't be investing in park improvements. Another said that companies like Walmart are abandoning diversity and equity work, so Bloomington should also. Many council members talked about the challenge of creating a budget that does reflect those priorities, values, and expectations of all Bloomington residents. Because for every resident demanding that we cut a program or a spending, there are other residents who value and prioritize those programs. You've heard me say before, the Council's work on the annual budget is the most important work we do. I firmly believe that the 2025 levy and budget reflect the city's mission to cultivate an enduring and remarkable community where people want to be. Thank you to everyone who provided feedback in this important process. And finally today, as you probably have already heard, Bloomington City Manager Jamie Verbrugge announced on December 6th that he will be resigning his position. After almost 10 years of outstanding service, Jamie will leave the city to become the next president and chief executive officer of Catholic Charities Twin Cities. His last day will be January 7th. Under Jamie's leadership, Bloomington's reputation as a forward-thinking, innovative city increased significantly. The city reimagined the South Loop, made critical investments in affordable housing and sustainability, and continued to earn AAA bond ratings from the 3 major credit rating agencies. During Jamie's tenure, the city's leadership and workforce became more diverse, the city developed and implemented a community-driven strategic plan, and resident satisfaction with city services and quality of life remain impressively high. As sad as I am to see him go, I'm very happy for Jamie. Catholic Charities is an outstanding organization, and I think Jamie will be a fantastic fit. Not only are they getting a strong strategic leader, they're also getting a very good man. The city will choose a search firm in the coming weeks to help with the recruitment and search for our next city manager. The Bloomington City Manager position is one of the best municipal jobs in the state of Minnesota, and I'm confident we'll have a number of great candidates to choose from. As Bloomington searches for our new city manager, our 2 assistant city managers, Elizabeth Tolzman and Kathy Hadeen, will step into a dual interim leadership role for the city. Now, a dual interim arrangement is unique, but I think we have a unique opportunity here. Elizabeth and Kathy are strong, smart leaders. They have the respect and the trust of city staff, and splitting the city manager responsibilities between 2 people makes it a much more manageable task to keep Bloomington humming right along. I have complete confidence in Elizabeth and Kathy, and I am looking forward to working closely with them over the next few months. That will do it for this week's Council Minute. Very glad to be back. Thanks much for joining me today. Until next time, stay safe, Bloomington.